The first topic I'm going to talk about, Jason Blum, who's the head of Blumhouse, who does a lot of low budget horror movies, is working on a new Blair Witch Project film for Lionsgate. Now, let me say this: I'm not the biggest Blair Witch Project person. I like the original. Like, I watched it not too long ago, recently, for the first time, and it's one of those movies that I can understand why it was beloved when it came out, but I don't think it was like fantastic or one of my favorite horror films of all time. It's not one of my favorite franchises either. The second one I thought was terrible. I enjoyed the third one, but none of them I would call great or any or movies I would say that I love. So I have like a slight interest in a new Blair Witch Project, but it wouldn't be one of my most anticipated movies. The good thing is that it sounds like Jason Blum though is a fan of the original movie. He was talking about how he loves the original and what that movie did. Because obviously when that movie came out, it was kind of like the first found footage horror movie, and he started to get found footage movies after that. And and I think it's cool that he's just a fan of the original movie. It's good to have somebody who's passionate about the original movie when it comes to rebooting a franchise or remaking. I can definitely see a lot of people excited about this. I can also see some fans probably being like, well, why would you do a new one? But hopefully this will be, maybe this will be the one that will make me like a diehard Blair Witch Project fan of the franchise. So my excitement right now is kind of like I have slight interest, but I'm not overly excited for this movie. The next thing I want to talk about is that a G.I. Joe and Transformers crossover movie is officially happening. And look, I'm a big Transformers fan. G.I. Joe, I'd never really been in the G.I. Joe. And if you spoil wise, if you didn't see Rise of the Beast when it came out, then in the movie sets up that the G.I. Joe exists in the world. And they've also talked about doing a Transformers G.I. Joe crossover and Hasbro crossover to other IPs. But I'm going to be honest, I'm not overly excited for this movie. I actually don't have any interest in this. Because even though I'm a big Transformers fan, like I said, I've never really gotten into G.I. Joe. And the G.I. Joe movies all sucked in my opinion. No offense to people who enjoyed or love some of those movies, but I thought all three were terrible. They weren't exactly received all that well, I think, from what I remember. And I don't think they made like the biggest money those G.I. Joe movies, the three live action ones that have been made so far. Like I think the most they made was like over 300 with one of the first two or both of them. I know Snake Eyes like did the worst, but I just don't like as somebody who's not really into GI Joe. And when it comes to the Transformers franchise, Rise of the Beast I enjoyed. It was better than 2 through 5. Like I would put that with the first Michael Bay movie as like a movie that I enjoyed but don't love. Bumblebee's the only one in my opinion I think is fantastic in that franchise, and I wish they did a true sequel to that, and Travis Knight continued, or if they just brought Travis Knight back to direct the next movie. But to me, that was a fantastic movie. That's the one that to me is most rewatchable when it comes to best characters, best story, the most emotional movie, in my opinion, out of Transformers movies. But like the reason why I'm not excited for this, like I said, with the fact that I'm not a JoJo fan, is also because like I didn't come out of Wise Beast loving that movie. Like I liked it, but I didn't love it. So and just the idea of those two franchises crossing over just doesn't interest me. So I can't say I'm really excited for this. I can definitely understand why some people would be excited for it if you're like a big G.I. Joe fan and a Transformers fan. But it's just like to me, Rise of the Beast was okay, and you really haven't even made a good G.I. Joe movie yet. And this comes from somebody who knows nothing about G.I. Joe and just never watched the cartoon and never really got into it. But like in my opinion, I think they need to focus on like just getting the G.I. Joe franchise going and actually making a good G.I. Joe movie first, and then making some really great Transformer movies, like a couple in a row. I just think like the idea of crossing over these movies just doesn't interest me at this point. And it just, yeah, overall, I'm not really excited for this crossover movie. The next thing I want to talk about is the Scary Movie franchise is being rebooted by Miramax and Paramount. Now, let me say this. This Scary Movie franchise isn't one of my favorite franchises. Like, I think the first four are fun movies. I never saw 5, so I can't really comment on 5. And I do think the first two are some of the better parody movies. Because I remember they put out a lot of parody movies after that, and they all pretty much sucked, most of them. And then that genre kind of died. And I think overall they're just really fun first four really fun movies. Like I think the first two are solid. They're not some of my favorite like comedy movies, and I'm not too big into that type of genre when it comes to party movies when it's like movies, making fun of different like movies. It's just I never could get into those type of movies too much. So like I'm interested in a scary movie reboot, but it's not like one of my most anticipated movies. But I think, maybe this will bring back that genre. And like I said, I did really enjoy the first two, and I still enjoy three and four. The last topic I want to talk about is the producer of the Sonic movies was saying how they're going to make this kind of like an Avengers event movies, the Sonic movies, where the TV shows, because you have the Knuckles TV show coming, where the TV show is kind of going to be used to like focus on like the supporting characters, putting those characters up, and the movies would be like an event movies. Which I love the idea because I think the Sonic world, you have a lot of characters you could explore, and the world is cool. Like I'm somebody, one of my favorite systems was Sega Genesis, and my favorite Sega Genesis games were the Sonic games. And hell, if anybody remembers Dreamcast, my favorite Dreamcast game was the first Sonic Adventure game. Like I remember playing that all the time, and that was just like my favorite Dreamcast, and actually still one of my favorite video games. So I love the character of Sonic, and I think I remember watching like one of the anime series, which was called like Sonic X, which I think was on WB or something like that. But I think this totally makes sense because I like the idea of treating the movies as event movies. When it comes to Avengers type event movies. Yeah, maybe you're gonna see all the characters come together from like the shows. And I'm actually really excited for the Knuckles show. I think that looks really fun. And I enjoyed the first two Sonic movies. I will admit, I haven't loved the Sonic movies though. Like I like the first two. And the reason I'm actually even like excited for this one is because of the Shadow character. Because I love the Shadow character. He has a really cool tragic backstory, and that's what makes me really excited for this one. Because if Shadow wasn't in it, I'll be honest, I'll be interested in a Sonic 3, but it wouldn't be like one of my most anticipated movies. But I think it's a great idea to treat the movies kind of like that as event movies. So I think it's a great idea to like have the shows be kind of like the build up like maybe some of the supporting characters and to have like because that's the thing with movies right now. He's like you need to make them also feel like they're event movies when it comes to people wanting to see movies in theaters more now. So I'm definitely excited for Sonic 3. I know at CinemaCon Panty, they showed something for Sonic 3, like footage or something like that. So I'm really excited, and I'm actually excited for the Knuckles show too. So I can't wait for that. That's all the movie topics today. Until next time, movie fans.